I think it is time for our Week 6 Heat Check, where we check in with the hottest players around the NFL on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. Special spotlight and shout out to our rookies that we pay very close attention to.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Was that Flames?
It was Flames.
Was that for the Week 5 Heat Check, or was that the sound on Mike McCarthy's seat that he's sitting on? Because that boy's seat is hot. It's hot. Antonio
Christ.
Pierce, his seat is hot. I predicted this in the offseason, did I not?
Yep.
I said Mike McCarthy, you're like, no. I said Antonio Pierce, you're like, no. I said Dennis Allen, you're like, no.
You having a good time?
Bro, they gave this shit to me.
So excited about free shit.
Can I tell you the story? So I tell my boy, I'm like, hey, I need you to go to Lids and get me a hat because I got a stunt on my cousin on the podcast tonight. I got to get me a Lions hat because they smashed the Cowboys. So he walks in there and he FaceTimes me. He's like, which one do you want? And I was like, okay, I want that one. I was like, hey, ask him if the Devontae Adams jerseys are on sale because he's a huge Raiders fan, right?
Yeah.
Massive Raiders fan. Like, we're going to the Super Bowl type idiot Raiders fan, right? And he's like, I already asked him. They're on for sale. I said, hey, tell that dude, because I gave him $100 bill to go get this hat. I said, tell that dude, if he gives me the hat and the jersey for $100, I'll buy one. Dude, this is a $179 jersey that they sold to me for $49.99. I got the Devontae jersey for $49 and the hat for $35. Can you believe that?
That was going to be my next question, was what was more expensive, the hat or the jersey? It wouldn't surprise me.
Damn near the hat. You know what I'm saying? This is why, for anyone that's watching this segment, I'm just going to give you one recommendation when you're buying football jerseys. Buy the Legends, okay?
Yep.
Get yourself a Jerry Rice. Get yourself an Emmitt Smith.
Yep.
Don't go out there and get yourself a Micah Parsons jersey, then be sad when he's on another team next year. Don't go get yourself a Max Crosby jersey unless it's in Detroit Lions blue, because he ain't going to be on the team no more. Like, buy the Legends. That's the smart way to go.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to our Week 6 Heat Check, where we check in with the hottest players around the league. Let's go ahead and start off with the defensive side of the ball. And I want to hear who you have, because we talked about it a little bit before the podcast started. So I'm curious to see which direction you really went here.
Yeah, we got a 95.1 PFF grade this week. We had a win rate on 59% of his pressures, and we had a snapped ass ankle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and shout out Aiden Hutchinson for a couple of reasons. A, he was the defensive player of the year this year. Full stop. He was killing it.
Yeah.
B, he made the Cowboys look like dog shit, which is my favorite thing in the world.
Not hard to do.
And C, he's out for the year, which is super unfortunate.
Sucks.
I made the joke earlier about the Chiefs and all their players getting injured. We don't want that. We really don't want it. And right. Aiden Hutchinson, he's taken the league by storm. He was not projected in college to do what he has done, but he's just one of those guys whose motor never shuts off. We're not talking about pressures with Aiden Hutchinson, okay? Hey, do you know Nick Bosa just set a record last week, an NFL record on some bullshit? Well, he ain't got no sacks. Congratulations on all your pressures, Nick Bosa, you bum. Aiden Hutchinson gets sacks. TJ Watt gets sacks. I like sacks. I love sacks.
That one's getting clipped.
Yeah, clip that. Listen, I'm wearing a Raiders jersey. Clearly, I love sacks. Okay, it's all right. That's just what it is. So shout out to Aiden Hutchinson. I'm giving him my Week 5 Heat Check Defensive Player of the Week because he deserves it. He was a menace this year. Sucks to see him out.
No, absolutely. My defensive player of the week is definitely going to be Will Anderson. 8 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, a pass deflection, and 3 quarterback hits all over the place. It seems like these past couple of years with these edge rushers coming out of college, they're kind of what they're advertised. You know, what you see is what you get. And Will Anderson, Aiden Hutchinson, we're not gonna Mr. Trayvon Walker. We're not going to go ahead and mention him too much. He had a good year last year, 11.5 sacks, but I think we all knew that Aiden Hutchinson was the best edge rusher in that class. Trayvon Walker wasn't even the second best player. It was in that class. It was Aiden Hutchinson, and right below that was Kyle Hamilton. That was the 1 and 2. Absolutely, at least to me in my rankings, that's where I
No
had
love
those
for
guys.
Kayvon?
No, we had that discussion. We don't have to bring that one up again. It was definitely Aiden.
Didn't they just put him on IR?
Kayvon, yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. But yeah, so again, Will Anderson, absolute menace, 8 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss once again, pass deflection, 3 quarterback hits, all over the place for a very, very good Houston Texans team. Looking at the other side of the ball now, the offensive players, who'd you go with for your offensive player of the week? Brand new guy, right? Someone we've never mentioned before.
I didn't even know who the hell he was.
Yeah, yeah. That's fair.
I was tuned into that game talking about the Bucs Saints, and there's this guy running all over the place, Sean Tucker. I'm like, what's a Sean Tucker? Sounds like a movie star. Where's
Right.
Bucky? I like Bucky. I know who Bucky is.
Yep.
I thought Leonard Fournette was the running back for this team. Who is this Sean Tucker guy? Well, let me tell you now. I know who the man is now. I know who Sean Tucker is today. A hell of a performance. The Saints defense, the Saints offense, really, it seemed like it was game in the beginning. Spencer Rattler, he did not look like he was, the moment was too big for him. I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the league, but you can't go wrong being a really, really good backup. I'm sure we'll talk about that later. Definitely. But I went with Sean Tucker. I think he had roughly 186 yards and 1,000 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns. And it was an excellent performance. I love these come out of nowhere performances, much like Jordan Mason week 1, just these guys that people don't know about, and then they're just showing out. It just goes to show you the level of talent on an NFL football team from the top roster spot all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, I told you who my offensive player of the week was beforehand, and I think I'm actually going to pivot away from that one because we've mentioned him quite a bit. So I'm going to actually give it to someone else on a very quick audible, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jared Goff. And it's funny looking at my segments, defensive player of the week. I had Brian Branch on there. I almost gave it to, and he's highlighted for me. I also have Jared Goff in the offensive segment, and it feels like I have a Detroit Lion in every single segment so far. But Jared Goff, 18 of 25, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Dallas Cowboys. Audibled away from Lamar Jackson having a really good game against the Washington Commanders. But what Jared Goff did and what the Lions did, that entire offense was just decimate and demoralize the entire team. But yeah, so again, demoralizing for watching it. So not the funnest thing on the planet trying to go through that one. So Jared Goff once again gets my offensive player of the week. Now looking at the rookie performances for week 6, and I want to talk about Drew, do you want to take the first one? I'm not sure which way you were going to go. I know you said we didn't exactly have the same guys.
There's a guy in our comments talking about how he told me that Aiden Hutchinson was going to be Nick Bosa's, little clone. And shout out to him. He also wants to come on the podcast. He's a wealth of football knowledge, but there's 2 problems. He sold you your car. I don't know if you remember Ronnie.
I do remember Ronnie.
The problem with bringing Ronnie on is 2 things: is he's a Steelers fan.
Oh,
and the other problem with him is he was present to a huge debate I had a number of years ago where I proclaimed to the world that Buddy Hield was a better basketball player than Devin Booker. So shout out to Devin Booker. He was on the Olympic gold medal team recently, and Buddy Hield is going to be bench mob for the Warriors this year. So he can never come on the podcast because he was a witness to some of my terrible takes. But shout out to him. I remember he was all over Aiden Hutchinson. But I do believe he was also talking about how amazing a certain running back for the Steelers was that they took in the first round, who pretty much hasn't done anything of note in his career up until last week. So, hey, I give credit when credit's due, just like I'm going to bring up the shortcomings, a.k.a. having the Cleveland Browns in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Mozzie Smith.
Christian Watson. Peter
Hey, bro,
we can keep going.
Christian Watson had a touchdown on Sunday.
Relax, you do this every time. Congrats, one. You just talked about a certain running back for the Steelers. It was like, oh, he didn't do anything until last week. Congrats, Christian Watson. He's actually healthy for the first time in his career again. So, yeah. Moving on to our top rookie performances of week 6. Drew, once again, which way did you go?
Come on, bro. It's Caleb.
Okay.
There's no argument between When was the last time somebody Google this? When was the last time a Bears quarterback threw for 4 touchdowns?
Oof.
I think it took Justin Fields like 9 games to throw for 4 touchdowns last year.
Total.
I'm gonna Google it. Last time a Bears QB This is excellent. Yeah.
See what timing this?
You know what, bro? Google tells me that their history doesn't go back that far.
In one of the original franchises. That's fair. While Drew is still doing his fun little research project, I'll go ahead and take it away with Tyke Smith. Nice try. Tyke Smith, safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's almost gotten on this list a handful of times over the first 6 weeks. I put him on the list 3 separate times, just didn't quite crack the list. This is the first week that I felt like putting him on there. Specifically because he got an interception, 5 tackles, 2 pass deflections, a quarterback hit, and his first career pick. So congratulations to Tyke Smith as a guy that we've very lightly kept an eye on the safety spot. It was a pretty weak safety class, didn't really dive super duper deep into it, but he was a guy like very lightly mentioned here and there. But he's having a great year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they definitely need it. For your number 2 top rookie performances, where are you going?
Can you believe that Justin Fields threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns last year?
What? Oh, in a game?
Yeah, against the Denver Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the same team that gave up 181 points to the Dolphins at one point?
Yeah. And somehow their team is absolutely going fucking crazy this year in terms of their defense. That defense is really good.
I have to say that if you let Justin Fields throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, then maybe Caleb Williams doing it isn't that impressive. Apparently anyone can do it.
Right.
Dak can't do it, but pretty much anyone else can do it.
Yeah, very funny.
You didn't think that was funny?
Who's your second guy?
He took a loss this week. Jaden Daniels did, but
yeah.
he again looked super, super competitive. His accuracy is on point. I just think it comes down to there's a roster difference between the Ravens and the Washington Commanders. Clearly,
yep.
Ravens have one of the best rosters in the league. So I'm gonna give it to Jaden Daniels. I know that's super cheap, but he's also still the number 1 rated quarterback in the rookie class so far, and he continues to be impressive every week. He hasn't turned into a pumpkin yet or laid an egg or whatever clever cliche you want to go with, and he continues to be super impressive.
Yeah. I think that there's a handful of rookies that are going to continuously pop up on here. Jaden Daniels is going to be one guy who continuously pops up, and following that same theme is the second guy for me is definitely going to be Brock Bowers. 9 receptions, 71 yards. He's going to pop up, it feels like, every single week. He genuinely looks like not the best rookie tight end in the league. He looks like the best tight end in the league up to this point. He's consistent. He's not just a tight end. He's a weapon. We've said it again and again and again. And if you're just listening to us right now, listen very clearly, because we've said this again and again and again. Brock Bowers is a weapon. He's not just a tight end. He's just that guy. That's who Brock Bowers is.
Do you think Brock Bowers should request a trade now, or should he wait till next year?
Just preemptively do it. Hey, by the way, by week 6 of next year, I'm going to request
a trade. Get me the fuck out of
here. Yeah. Who's your last guy? Who's your third?
I really kind of wanted to go away from someone we mentioned, but I'm going to go with Quinyon Mitchell, because he was really, really good against Deshaun Watson.
And he almost had a pick, but, stupid ass CJ Gardner-Johnson ran into him and he was pissed off after. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. I'm a little hesitant to award this to him, because I think that you and I could play corner against Deshaun Watson. And if you guys want to know my combine stats, I run a 9.8940.
Pretty impressive.
But that's only because I fell down in the middle of it. Okay. I got my back. I finished the damn race. Okay. I get credit for finishing the race. Bunch of haters. That's okay. So he earned a season high grade. Quinyon Mitchell did. And this cornerback class, we talked a lot about it. We put a lot of work into it. And he's on the field doing his thing. And he's been pretty good. Unlike, the Lions' first round rookie corner, who's been terrible. So shout out to Quinyon.
Yeah. And my last guy I'm going to go ahead and go with is a guy we already mentioned for the MVP segment, but I want to put him in this one too. You get double recognition just in case for anyone who doesn't watch the full clips or the full podcast or listen to the full podcast. Go back to our game of the week segment and listen to the MVP. And spoiler alert, it was Ray Davis, 20 carries, 97 yards, 3 receptions, 455 yards, all over the place. Shredded up the Jets defense. We really went in depth in that segment. So again, if you're only listening to this segment here, go back and listen to more of the in depth there. A couple other guys that I just kind of want to just quickly just shout out names. Jatavion Sanders had his first decent game of the year. And also Renardo Green had his first pick of the year. So shout out to him as well. Edgerrin Cooper did decent, 8 tackles. He was out there doing his thing. And a lot of the rookie quarterbacks performed decently well. Drake May, Spencer Rattler, we're going to talk about a little bit later. But Jaden, you already mentioned, and obviously Caleb, we mentioned as well. So anyone else you want to kind of just touch on for a second before we move on?
Yeah, how'd Tyler Guyton do this week?
Same as any other week. Did you know that Zach Martin had a 0 pass block grade this week?
That's excellent. That means
0.
that he didn't mess anything up, right?
Yeah, exactly. 0. Did you know that Terrence Steele was allowed the second most amount of pressures in the league this year?
Well, then why did Tyler Guyton get benched and not Terrence Steele? That doesn't make any sense.
Because Terrence Steele got paid because we're fucking stupid. Okay, that's why. Anyways,
can you say it louder for the Cowboys fans in the back? Can you say it louder for the Cowboys fans in Idaho?
Yeah, 1,000 miles away. Let me go ahead and say it louder for you.